come on, man. Let's go. Let's go. Like, I can't even force a gas celebration because I think we all expected us to easily bag this win tonight against, and I'll give them respect, a spirited Djurgårdens team. In a way, this game kind of felt like an FA Cup game at times because Djurgårdens actually came out to try and hurt us. They clearly had a game plan. I felt like they were finding actual weaknesses on our far post. They scored a goal from that. They could have made it two at least for the night. And they had a few more opportunities from those sides. So credit to them, credit to their fans for coming out there, supporting their team and trying to beat us playing a game of football. But ultimately, man, the golfing class was just too much. And you could just see that from small details like the intensity of our pressing. We forced them into gifting us this win today. We forced them into making mistakes today. And by cementing such a massive advantage now in the first leg, this is a perfect night for us because the Premier League is our main focus. The Premier League and now the Conference League final. So now we have opportunities to just rest the boys a little bit, just to get them focused, ready, and sharp for the Prem. Because we've learned tonight that Nottingham Forest have flopped yet again by losing 2-0 to Brentford, which means that we go into the game against Liverpool this weekend already in a top 5 position. If we can get this result against Liverpool, my friends, personally, I feel like we are going to get a CL spot. And I'm now starting to feel very optimistic. But I have to say this, man, credit to the team today because they didn't just turn up and, aura farm their way to a result. They played well. They played a good game of football. The first half was that strong that in the second half, all we had to do was kind of just maintain our energy levels, sit back a little bit and play on the counter-attack, which was the strategy that we were obviously going to use as we're focusing our attention on that game against Liverpool. A Liverpool team that have won the league now and fingers crossed aren't going to be as sharp against us come this weekend. And I think the biggest thing I noticed was just how our football was creating many opportunities between the lines. Like, I'm going to sound so gas, but to Djurgårdens, we were the equivalent of like Paris Saint-Germain. Like, they could not cope against us at all when it came to utilizing the pockets. Credit to Enzo Fernandez, who bagged 2 assists tonight. Credit to Dewsbury Hall, who also played an effective game. These lot were constantly just finding positions in the wider channel areas, receiving wider midfields. And once they did that, they were able to double up with the fullback or the winger or receive between the lines. And Djurgårdens just had no ways to cope against that. And every time they got sucked into trying to get Enzo, trying to get Dewsbury Hall, it freed up the spaces wide. And it's no surprise that Jadon Sancho and Noni Madueke were the goal scorers in that first half. And it's actually quite refreshing to know that, our wide men recently in Sancho, Noni, Neto, they're affecting the game. They're getting assists, they're getting goals. I've been saying we're going to need these guys for the final 4 games this season, yeah? We can't just rely upon a Cole Palmer who still hasn't found his form in front of goal. And, we can't put too much pressure on a Nico Jackson. We need to get more goals from the rest of these guys in the squad. So I'm quietly happy and optimistic about what we are seeing now from our wide guys. I thought the goal Noni scored was great. Nice little pass in front from Enzo Fernandez to set that up. And same goes to Jadon Sancho. And, from dominating the first half, listen, Djurgårdens had a few moments. They tried to play with very quick attacks to try and penetrate us between the lines themselves. But ultimately, we had too much quality, which allowed us to go into that second half with Enzo Maresca making a triple substitution at the beginning of the second half. And in came Palmer, in came Nicolas Jackson, and in came Trevor Chalobah with Cuckoo and Noni and Enzo coming off, and Achimpong playing the inverted role from the left-hand side. And as I said at the start of this review, we kind of just sat back a little more to reserve our energy, not overdo it, and also pick them off in the counter-attack, because naturally, they're going to have to attack us to get something from this game. It's a semi-final. You're playing against Chelsea. This is going to be a big memory and moment for their home fans regardless, because these opportunities don't come around too often. But whatever hopes they had for the second half completely got destroyed when Nicolas Jackson clearly demonstrated the golfing class between the Swedish league and the Premier League, because Djurgårdens, they're not getting pressed with that intensity for moments like that too often. They're not prepared for that type of stuff. But Nicolas Jackson, he's reminded us that we are a better team with him in our presence because of this type of dirty work, this willingness to close the spaces, to always put that extra yard in for the team. Yeah, he does so much unspoken good teamwork. He should get enough credit. He should be getting praise for that a lot more. I remember players like Timo Werner doing half the things that Nicolas Jackson was doing, but would get praised so often for just his pacing behind. And Nico adds like 3 times anything that Timo Werner offered to us. And of course, he has to work on the finishing. That's going to separate him from being like one of the like top strikers of his generation, from being like a very, very good one. But this guy has all the components to be a player that we haven't seen the limits to yet. We haven't seen the limits to Nicolas Jackson. If you think you have, you're being very unfair. Yeah, 17 goals and assists this season. Personally, I'm not that gassed about goals and assists for my striker. I only care about the goals my striker's scoring. And obviously, it's not great that, in these last 2 games, it's the first time Nico scored since December. So it has been a long time. But again, it's a reminder of the qualities that Nico provides for the team. He forces the mistake for the 3rd goal, and then he kind of recreates the second moment again for himself by pressing their defense. You're clearly seeing a lack of communication between the Djurgården's defense and their goalkeeper. Nicolas Jackson has him in the bag, and I have to say the finish for that 4th goal, the best goal of that night, I want to see Nico tap into this finishing style a bit more. Yeah, the power effort, left foot, top right bins. Yeah, like it was. Not every effort from Nico Jackson has to be finishing moves or putting tap-ins. These half-chance moments is how top strikers make their bread and butter. And I'm not here to criticize Nico, but it's more about challenging him, wanting to see more, because I think we can all agree he has that potential. And the fact that he's already such a massive team bonus for us at the moment tells you that there's a lot more that can come from him. So it's great that Nico is finding the net a little bit more. Hopefully, 3 goals now in his last 2 games. He takes his confidence forward now against Liverpool and in the Premier League. Having Nico and wingers scoring again, man, it's a nice feeling. It's been a while since I've seen things like that. And we're going to need these guys if we have any hopes of just bagging Champions League football for next season. But bro, it's looking pretty optimistic at the moment. There were a few more moments to come in this game. I think one of the feel-good moments of the game was young Reggie Walsh making his professional debut in a European semi-final. Now, I think officially, statistically, he is the 2nd youngest player in our history to, youngest player to make his debut. And he's the youngest player, I think, since 1967 to debut this young for the first team. And in about 30 seconds since he got subbed on, his first involvement in the game was a shot outside the box, a fierce one that forced a little bit of a kerfuffle from their goalkeeper. And this is what Cobham does, man. They have to have the confidence. No, you know what? I have to take this shot. I'm not going to pass responsibility on. I think that's a great sign of this kid's confidence. Of course, he's been doing big things in the academy. It's nice to see that Enzo Maresca, a manager that had honed his game, fine-tuned his craft, within academy football and the academy setup, has also been opening doors to the academy. I think that's been one of the unspoken things of this season. He's really used the academy players a lot in the Conference League. Yes, we have to rotate, but a lot of managers would still be prioritizing the needs of the first team players. Let's keep it abundantly real, yeah? So it's great to see that he's still involved within that department. And I'm hoping now for the second leg against Djurgårdens, if you're not going to start most of these teens and youngsters from like the start of the game, at least have these guys on in abundance to be ready to come on in the second half. Because I want Reggie Walsh to get like 20 minutes in the second leg. I would love to see like, what's his name? Kavuma McQueen as well. Our very exciting winger in the academy. Also, hopefully, feature in a matchday squad. And maybe even come on. I would love to see that type of player being given opportunities. And obviously, Madueke, I want to see this guy play too. And by bagging such a significant advantage in this first leg, those opportunities could become a reality right now. So it's just win-wins for everyone right now, for the goal scorers, the move, the confidence, the academy for Enzo Maresca. And now I think it's confident that we probably get ready to play Real Betis in the final. I think they beat Fiorentina 2-1, but Betis this season have been a revelation in La Liga. Isco being reborn, Anthony reborn. They got a lot of good players in that team, and they've claimed a lot of bodies in La Liga, getting results of Barcelona, Atleti, Real Madrid. So, when it comes to the big game occasions, they don't shy away. They're not nervous. They're ready for it. They trust themselves, and they're in top form this season under Manuel Pellegrini. So they're a team to watch out for, man. And I think that's going to be a very, very, very tough final. So my guys and girls and everyone else, that's me for today. In the end, our high press was too strong for them. The abundance of options we created between the lines was too much for them. And of course, our finishing ability and X factor was too much for them as well. So my friends, how do you guys feel about the game? Let us know below. Have you secured your tickets for Poland in the final? I hope you guys have already. You should have secured them maybe a few months ago. Let's keep it real. But my guys, I'll catch you tomorrow with more videos. Stay tuned. Love. Cool.